Today is July 9th. Boone joins the show. Sharp Stats happens. It's time to talk about the Yanks. Boom, 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 boom.
Talking Yanks with old John Boy, Jake. Recaps galore, weekly awards, stat lines, theme, and hot takes. Get your Yankees news from these two fine dudes. It's time
for Talkin' Yanks. Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy.
Jake. Talking Yanks with old John Boy, Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Yanks. Thank you very much for joining. Today, Jake not here. I am here. BBD's here. Boone will be joining us very soon. And if you want, you can join us at our John Boy Media DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports League. Rolls on this week, all season long on DraftKings. You can make your lineup and compete against JM creators each Tuesday night of the baseball season for a shot at cash prizes. The top finisher each month will win a $100 SeatGeek credit from John Boy Media, and the top leaderboard finisher at the end of the regular season, 2 World Series tickets. Do we know who that is? We should start making
the prizes have been given out. I don't know if it's been like a public thing, like who won this or.
We need to find out. We need to find out who's atop the league, like who's in the running right now for World Series tickets.
Yes,
and then every week we'll be like, "Did Joe get beat? Is he going? Nope. Last second,
Joe's out.
He's out. Mark comes in. Bam.
If you like fantasy baseball, it's a good time. It's fun. You get a budget. You get to beat Joe's McFly at something.
Yep. It's never too late to sign in. Description is in the description. You have a link. I'm not going to beat around the bush and do some intro talk. We're just going to throw it right to Boone. Here we go. Today's Bantering with Boone is brought to you by Beatbox. Boone, thanks for joining us after a nice off day. We keep getting you after off days, so there's a buffer period because if we came right after the last game, I'd be even more. I'm in control of my emotions today. Better. Oh. We'll see if I stay there. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in. Down obviously in Tampa, so hoping to start a good last road trip tonight into the break.
Tampa and then Baltimore.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking through this, thinking we'd get out of the stretch, the tough stretch. It's lasted longer than I think you would like and the fans would like. The Yankees haven't won a series, last 7 series. Haven't won back-to-back games in 22 games. That's crazy. Haven't built any momentum. And are 6-16 in that stretch, where I believe that's the worst record in Major League Baseball in that stretch. And the worst ERA in that stretch, which pitching looked better this weekend. But how does defeatism not climb into the brains of you and the players when things continue to last and look like this?
Well, I mean, that's always the challenge, but that's always something that we talk about too. And you've heard me talk to you about this is, it's something we start from day one in spring training, like preparing for the inevitables that come your way during a season. And it's going to look different every year. And there's going to be different trials. There's going to be different, so you try not to get on the roller coaster as best you can, because that's when you start, deviating from like performance that you're ultimately capable of. So certainly acknowledging what we're going through. It's not fun. We're human. Like when things are riding high, your emotions are a little better, your mood's a little better, your feeling is a little bit better. And it, right now when you go through something like this, it sucks, but you've got to deal with it. You've got to handle it. You've got to push through it. You got to know that you're going to get through it. And look, it's something that we talk about all the time, and expect it to start turning around tonight. We're coming off a really good start from Luis Hill, which was really encouraging to see. and just, through this time, like you kind of make sure you walk in the doors every day with like this controlled urgency, right? So you want to have that edge and that energy to how you walk in the room and how you get going, but you also don't want to turn that, especially in baseball where emotions can get you in trouble a little bit, and it turns into press and panic and those kind of things. So you want to make sure you're walking in the doors with an edge and an urgency to you, and that will to prepare and get ready for the game, but then being able to also now go play the game instead of feeling all the, we got to do this, we got to win, that's a given. It's controlling what you can control, and hopefully, because we talk about it all the time, because a number of guys have had experience going through these things before, that needs to serve us well moving forward, and understanding that that's part of the game.
It has been part of the last couple seasons for you guys, as like the first 60 to 70 games 3 years in a row now have been amazing. You started out crazy, and then in the last couple of years, the June swoon hits and kind of stays. So in 2022, 49-16, and then it was 500 the rest of the way. Last year, 36-25, and then sub 500 the rest of the way. This year, 49-21, now 6-16 the rest of the way. And I think when the fans hear the kind of what's become just your phrase now, it's right in front of us, which I'm not denying it, but it's the third year we've heard it's right in front of us, or if that's the message to the players, like, is it the same message this year as the last 2 years, or is there now, you're saying these 2 years the players have done this, is there a new approach to getting out of it?
Every year is different. I mean, every year is different. In 22, we were really good and kind of got decimated with some injuries at like that late July, August standpoint. So we're up against it. Last year, we weren't very good. I mean, frankly, after, a couple of things happened. This year, I believe we're a much better club. We've got some guys out right now that are, that we're going to get back. And we've got some guys that we feel like are going to get going and be more in line with who their baseball card says they are. And that's one of the things we got to do, is get some guys on track and going. But it is right in front of us. And I do feel like we have a group capable of being more in line with who we were the first couple of months of the season. But it's on us to get that out. Every year is different in that regard, and what you're dealing with, what kind of attrition you have to face. I believe this to be different than certainly last year, but 22 in a lot of ways was very different in that, some guys, we lost some significant pieces at key times, and even some guys that we brought in as to fortify our team also kind of went down. So we were kind of a shell of ourselves, and kind of, however, did kind of right the ship there in September and play good baseball heading into the playoffs, albeit, a little bit depleted.
Yeah. Well, I thought this team was very much different. I'm still hoping they are, but I think seeing this stretch and the 3 year kind of, oh yeah, this is the same thing we did. Obviously the personnel is different. I think there's more talent on the team, but that's where I'm getting frustrated. Like, well, how is this happening again? Because I do think this team has more talent and is better. The one thing that continues to happen is the plays that make you just scratch your head of, and I don't want to say any words that are not personal shots are rude, but kind of like lackadaisical or just blank in the brain. Some fundamentals where the head's just not in the game. We've had in this stretch, we had going back DJ just swiping at the ball at third, letting the runner go to second. Grisham, letting that ball, just routine ball, get fielded and move away. We had DJ not hustling down on that double play, and then the Volpe and DJ combined play, as well as Glaber not hustling, and Glaber drop pop-ups, where it's like, how is that happening? Pop up, yeah.
Yeah, the one he dropped in 7 years, yeah.
Yes, but that combined with all the other things I just said is a lot of, I don't know what you want to label it as, if it's not fundamentals or just head not in the game or not playing through the play, which is a phrase you like to use. It's happening a lot, and that's very scary.
Yeah, I hear it. I mean, especially when you're going through a stretch where you're losing, you want to kind of run to the little things that happen that, you never want to see happen. Like, the Trent's play, I understand, is a really bad look. I don't think it's because he's any less engaged or less prepared or less focused on really doing his job. I think he screwed up. I think, Volpe coming down kind of got lost in space a little bit, looking like, we talk about finish the play. You got to finish the play. And when we're going through this, I understand you're going to shine a light on that. We've made a few mistakes, and look, when you're not winning games, those are the things you kind of run to. But I would say I feel really good about this group as far as their focus, their preparation. DJ, I feel like, was trying to just find his gait, which he was struggling to do a little bit down the line. And then on the double play, I've gone back and watched the Volpe scoring and DJ running second. Like, DJ actually did a really good job because the plays behind him and being not so sure that he tagged the base, but making sure he got into a good lane to where he would affect a throw to second base, which he did. And then he tried to stop. And,
that is another move there, is to try and affect the throw. And you saw Contreras and the Brewers.
I think he kind of did, like, in a perfect world, sure, you get in the rundown and everything, but I think he did a lot in that play to try and, do what he could to kind of salvage the run when you're not totally sure if we're dealing with a tag play or a force play. So, look, there's these things we got to.
But Volpe on that play is as frustrated as I turned into my 80-year-old neighbor Lou, just screaming at the TV and throwing the remote. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta finish the play there, and Anthony's plays the game as hard as anyone I've ever been around, and as locked in as anyone I've been around. Like, I've been in this thing a long time. I made a mistake. You're kind of watching it, and there's not a play on you, and it's something, but he understands, and we talk a lot about, hey, finish the play, because that's obviously a play where it's different, but that base hit to the outfield where you're scoring easy from second, and maybe that guy's going around, there's going to be a play. So we're talking about finishing the play. This is one of those cases. Hopefully it turns into a great learning situation and never happens to him again in his career.
That would be nice. I would enjoy that. And with DJ, and I understand DJ's coming off injury, but it's tough to swallow. I know he's safe in the end, but not getting out of the box. It's his slowest out of the box as far as the stopwatch goes of all the hits with runners on. Runner on first, potential double play, try to beat it out. It's his slowest. And then the next game, he busted out of the box, and he's at first 15 feet faster. So it's like, we can run.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. But if you really go back and look at that run, like, he kind of got thrown off on how the swing kind of took him out of his gait a little bit. And one of the things DJ really worked hard on this winter in his running program is being really efficient at running. He's doing, the sled pullings and all those kind of things. And I think he struggled to get to that position, and then kind of panicked at the end and stepped on it in an awkward kind of way to get there. So, I hear you. DJ's, I promise you, not doing anything but busting his ass and completely hooked up on, so.
Well, that's why this guy's nickname was Big Fundies, the fundamental guy. And then the play at third, which was odd, and that it just seems like he's not getting the results, and it feels like there's kind of a defeatism at the end of these games, because that DJ play was at the end of the game. The Trent Grisham plays at the end of the game when it's a big comeback needed now, and it just feels like there's just this fuck and kind of, all right, let's just finish this one instead of vim and vigor. And I could be wrong. I'm saying that's the perception.
Yeah, and that I understand that's perception. It's not even close to the reality. Okay. So, we will be ready to rock and roll tonight and expecting to turn around. And I know I'm going to have, guys walking through that doors today ready to compete their ass off, and look forward to going to the post with them, tonight at 6:50 in Tampa.
Has there been any consideration about? Actually, that's not the way I want to phrase this. There's a stolen base, and I know this is stat. I know this is more personnel on the roster, which isn't. That's a question for Cash in the front office. But it's the longest, no stolen bases in the last 20 games. Only 2 attempts in those games, which I think now is the longest streak for any Yankees team since 1963. Obviously, you don't have many stealers besides Volpe. But is there any? Do you see that and think? Do you think, well, that's just not our game? Like, if we start running more, that's not our path to victories. Well, or do you say we have to create this?
Look, through the stretch, like, we've been behind the 8 ball. So, like, I understand, like, globally speaking, like, let's get the game moving. And of course, and I think over the last several years where we've been probably more on the below average, certainly speed wise, we've actually done a pretty good job in the stolen base game and making it somewhat of a play for us and somewhat in play for us. And we've got some guys capable of doing that. Kind of go back and look and see, like, we haven't had a lot of chances where the game's been really close and we've had a really good matchup where we've had the right guy on first base to take a shot, and you got to think of the opponent too. There's some opponents, some pitchers, really it comes down to the pitcher, a little bit the catcher combination too, but pitchers you're going up where this is a good time to take a shot. Now we have had a handful of tries and that maybe a foul ball, he's not, he's got to go back. So, like, those kind of things set up, but it's hard to get the running game going when you're, down a few runs and you don't have the exact personnel you want to take advantage of that. So I get it's something to point to, but, we're going to play aggressively when we have the opportunities to do it. And try and be opportunistic where we can. But that's just, I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of a lazy way of looking at it. I mean, you can't just say, oh, we're in a 20-game stretch where we're down 3 or 4 nothing in 70% of these, or down a few runs, and you want a guy to steal because we got to check that.
I think it's from directing it towards the manager. It's a lazy way because you don't have the personnel to do this. But but we do have some of the personnel. We have, But I mean, if you're a young team that can run, you can create.
It's not our identity by any means.
You can create chances, and I think that's more of a roster issue. That if we wanted to say, hey, we're not hitting the ball, let's get on base and run like crazy, which is something teams do to the Yankees, and it has worked. That's more, again, a question for the front office, not you. But from your perspective, you can't just magically say, Soto, go steal now. And then there you have it. I understand that.
Yeah.
Some managing decisions that I want to talk about are Devers. We warned you about Ellie De La Cruz and his stolen bases. And, he had a really good game. The triple and the homer, he can't steal on those. So it was kind of smart. No, but he didn't run like crazy on you guys. We forgot to warn you about Devers. He crushes the Yankees, especially Garrett Cole. There's 2 decisions. Last year we played a game called Defend, Debate, Regret with you. There's only 2 here. If you had to debate one, Heel pitching to him or Cole pitching to him third time, which one would you defend and debate?
Well, with Garrett, look, it's Garrett, and we're in the 5th inning, so and he punches out the leadoff hitter in that situation. So do I want to go get my ace with 1 out in the 5th? you know, now the case for it for me in that situation is not Rafi Devers. The case for me in that situation is it was an incredibly hot day.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, you could feel that from the pitchers on both sides. So, and obviously Garrett's still getting back to that, top, top ring or fully built up, if you will. So I think there's a case to be made where, man, he gets that leadoff hitter. Go get him. With Heel, frankly, I felt the way he was throwing the ball, he was in such a good spot. Like I was watching him closely starting the inning before just to see where he was from. Is he still commanding it? Is the stuff still there? And I feel like when Luis is in that throwing the ball like he did the other night, which is kind of in line with who he was the first couple of months where he was really dominant. I feel like he's the one guy as much as anyone, even going to high leverage there in the pen, like he's the guy that's, got a great chance to keep the ball in the ballpark too. Or get him out. Like, and then I got the question of, do you walk him there? I mean, which is to me a little bit of a absurd question,
or you pitch around him or something. Actually, yeah, I the Heel one I'm fine with because you let Heel in later on with Cole giving up the home run and like, oh, now let's take you out. It's like, well, I mean, the history between those two guys is absurd. Do you want? I mean, since 20,
he's also punched his ticket a lot, and
hold on.
You know what? The next 30 or 40 at bats, might turn more his way. And we're in the 5th inning, bro, in a game that we won 14-4.
I understand, but I understand, but since 2021, Cole versus Devers, 3rd plate appearance of the game. He's got 11 plate appearances. He has a 3.060 OPS. He has 6 hits, 5 homers, 2 walks. Is 727 on base and a 2.3 slugging against Cole 3rd plate appearances. It's not really there. People walk Barry Bonds and to score a run instead of letting him beat him. Like it's just not a match. Cole's very good. Cy Young, one of the best at his profession. Devers kind of sees him really well.
And I would say over the next several years, those numbers will come back to within reason. Not saying Rafi's not sees him well, different things, obviously, and has had his number to some degree. But I would also believe that those will correct a little bit and won't be that obscene. So, but it all comes down to execution. And, but my case for getting them there was more in line with the day and just being, man, it was a grind out there with the heat and the amount of pitches he had to throw within the first few innings where, probably taxed him a lot physically.
Yeah. Cole and Devers is just any other batter, and I'm fine, but it's unbelievable what he's been able to do to him in these last couple of years. 3rd plate appearance is nuts, but all the stats are crazy. Runners on is also like from the stretch. He's got a 2.8 something. So I don't know how you handle that. He's just very good, especially Cole. Actually, I do. Well, I think if you want to tell Garrett, and he can come punch me in the face if he wants, curveballs. He's only put one in play. He swung and missed at all of them. He never stick curveball. Just spam curves in the dirt till he hits that. He never got a hit off this curve. So pass it on in a note and put it in his shoe. John Boy says curves only next time. See what happens. Ben Rice goes to the leadoff spot. You like what you've seen? You like the 3-homer day?
Yeah, love the 3-homer day. I do like what I've seen. I feel like, the at-bats have been there. Even I've said this a lot, even when he doesn't get a result, there's just there's a calm, there's a confidence to the way he takes an at-bat. Feel like he recognizes pitches fairly easily. He's obviously impacting the ball. I think he's done a really good job. And looking in line with the hitter, we think he's got a chance to be.
Is that a platoon leadoff situation, or has he earned the spot?
Yeah, probably. Like we'll get a lefty, I think, in Baltimore. So I'll probably move it around a little bit in that way instead of going 3 out of 4 lefties to start. I probably will change that up, but that's a few days away still.
Okay. So if you change it up in Baltimore, should we be expecting Volpe to slot back in, or will it be hot hand? You don't know right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe hot hand. Maybe who knows? Maybe even Ben. Just depending on who the first 4 are there. That'll be a consideration.
With the way the lineup's constructed right now, with Stanton out and Rizzo out, and those 2 guys are big threats. They pose a scary outcome for pitchers when they see them after Judge. Right now, it seems very much so. Teams are walking Soto. He doesn't expand the zone. He's got his batting average is pretty low right now, since returning from that stretch. But his slugging is high and his on base is incredibly high. So like when he's getting his pitch to hit, he's hitting and he's just not getting a lot. Judge, on the other hand, seeing pitches out of the zone and feeling, I think, if I speak for Judge, pressure to drive in Soto. That's the whole game plan, and expanding a bit because people are worried behind him. I think we've seen the Red Sox walk both those guys to start an inning 3 times. Is there any thought to, is it just wait till Stanton comes back to get someone behind Judge? Is there any like hot hand moving there, playing there? Like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, I also feel like, Doogie's going to, and I feel like Doogie even has in the last week, 10 days started to swing the bat better after going through kind of a 10-day, 2-week stretch where, you struggle a little bit there. We ran through a lot of lefties, obviously. But, like he's key there in the middle. And I feel that will reveal itself. Like he's a really, I think we would both agree, like quality big league hitter. And that's going to reveal itself. He's been an incredibly productive player the first 2 months of the season. A lot of big hits. He's gone through a stretch here of a few weeks, even though in context, like the last week's been pretty good in some stretches too. Where he's a key in the middle of that lineup. Obviously, we obviously got to get Glaber going, but then in and around, like getting the bottom of the order, getting some contributions. I feel like Austin Wells is stringing together some pretty good at bats for us. I think Anthony Volpe is going to play a big role in coming up with hopefully runners on base and getting some opportunities in that way. So, I mean, like guys gotta step up and take advantage when there's some situations to drive in runs.
Yeah, Verdugo's leads the league in one of the new stats they have, which is when he makes contact, he squares the ball up. So when he puts the ball in play, it's usually hit pretty solidly. Soto's like that as well. One of the stats that blew my mind, and I talked about this on the last episode with our audience, and I was trying to say, I'm not trying to knock it 100%. It's just so crazy. Trent Grisham doesn't swing. He just doesn't swing. I've never seen a player swing less. He's got the lowest zone swing and the lowest out of zone swing and the lowest swing percentage in all of out of the 370 players that qualify. Have you ever seen an approach like that?
Well, I mean, I think in some ways it serves him well because he doesn't do a lot of chasing, right?
Yeah, like 17%.
That's one of the things is he's at a low average the last couple of years, but there is some on base there with some power in there as well. So, for him, I think moving the needle a little bit on some end zone pitches, that he has an opportunity to do some things, hopefully moving the needle in that regard will serve him well and, help him, take another step as a hitter, especially as he gets some opportunities here. And frankly, as he's gotten these opportunities, there's been some production in there. I feel like he's swung the bat pretty well. There's been some he's getting some knocks. There's been some power in there.
He's been hitting of late. So I said I'm not really trying to knock. It's just
and I feel like
approach.
He's even hit a lot of balls hard, for outs even. So, I mean, his patience serves him well in some regards, but there's probably a little bit more there to get a little aggressive in zone at times too.
Yeah, him and Trevino right now are the 1 and 2 out of like 370 in the lowest in zone swing percentage. So I don't know, just looking for a pitch or zoning in on a singular spot or just trying to work at bats. But
Trevy's that low at in zone too.
53% zone swing for Trevi and 50.8 for Grisham. So they're the two lowest out of.
Yeah, I think one of those, Trevi's worked really hard the last couple of years on, because he's historically been a guy that's left the zone more often and maybe chased. And I think that's an area of his game really the last few years that he's worked really hard on, like eliminating some of the chase, really looking in a certain area and being real specific. So that's probably showing up in a result of some of the work he's done. And I think has probably served him well a little bit this year. But look, anytime we're in zone, there's probably meat on the bone there to, take advantage of some stuff in the strike zone.
Yeah. DJ is 25th at 58%. But then you got Soto, he's 32nd because he's very selective in the zone, which is it's a tough balance where you have Volpe. That's probably the next step for him is getting more selective in the zone. Because right now he's just swinging at pitches in the zone and then the quality of contact isn't there.
Right.
Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I think he's kind of going through it. I think, some of the swing changes he made in the winter that I think really served him well in the first month and a half, 2 months of the season. And I think will long-term serve him well. I think he's kind of, battling that a little bit and just, working to get mechanically in a good spot. So going through a little bit, but I'm confident Anthony will get a rolling too again here. As he gets just a little bit more settled and kind of gets through this rough stretch.
One more topic before we get to the trivia. Heel had his bounce back start. That was, Ben Rice's 3-homer day. That saved my soul a little bit from the game before and just put a smile on my face. Mm-hmm. But it's not long-lasting confidence yet, and I don't knock Ben Rice individually. It's just, he's still a rookie and the league's going to figure him out and he's going to have to do that. So it's not like, Heel having that start against Boston kind of was like, okay, hell yeah. Like we can, they made a correction. Now we corrected. And then we find out on the broadcast, and Matt Blake talked about it, that the arm slot lowered and then got raised back up in this start against Boston. Are you part of that? I mean, that all probably happens with Matt, or how does that happen? Who notices that? Who identifies it? When are you aware that this is a change being made?
Well, you see that, that drop sometimes, or it looks different. You can see that, we're seeing it a little bit to the naked eye, but, he's had some of those inconsistencies even when he was going really well the first couple months of the season. I think it's important to remember with Luis is like, this was still a very raw, skilled guy when he got hurt, right? He was kind of up and down with us and, had some strike throwing things. But you saw the raw stuff and but he was very, very young in his development. And he kind of, and came out of Tommy John and, obviously missed that time. And it kind of just clicked for him, which obviously was awesome. And we all saw the result in spring training and through the first couple of months of the season. But I think it's important to remember, like, this is still a very young pitcher in his, from an experience and learning himself and understanding himself. So I think all of his stuff is kind of, some of the issues is delivery related, which ultimately is release point and all that stuff. But I think going through this stuff is going to serve him well, moving forward, because he's gaining experience and learning on the fly, like how to sync up. And that's going to continue to be a challenge for him. But he was awesome the other night. And I think the other thing that was really exciting is he didn't really have his great changeup. He was still feeling for that pitch. And we saw the arm drop a little bit. And but his slider was as good as we've ever seen it. And I know the last couple of bullpens, he made a little grip change on the slider, and he had that thing working the other night.
I love that. I love
it was
grip changes.
It was a really good pitch for him to go with fastball. I thought he did a great job of coming out, establishing fastball right away in that first inning, getting it to spots he wanted. You saw the profile was much better. The velocity was there. And then I think along with that, he gets in a rhythm. He gets some confidence going. And then his ability can have outings like that, obviously.
Well, I thought of another question. Judge DHing and Soto playing the outfield from a talent level and defense level doesn't really make sense because Judge is really good out there. Now, Soto's gotten a lot better than previous seasons, but you still see him play balls and throw balls in that you're like, well, Judge, he holds him to a single. There's one play in this series. How much of that is Judge has been playing a lot of center field? He's a big dude and the DH gives him rest versus Soto don't want a DH.
That's a lot of it. And like, obviously, it stinks having Giancarlo out right now, but one of the things in a long season in the middle of it is I do feel like, man, it gives me an opportunity to use this with Judge that I think is going to serve him and us well, in the second half of the season, down the stretch and beyond. I'll use it with Juan a little bit. Used it obviously the other day in the day game. Here the turf, like I want to get Judge off the turf as much as I can. So, and I think Juan's done a good job out there. So this is a little moment in time where I'm going to, value that for Judgy.
All righty. Have you been called into any trade discussion meetings yet?
Not really. We kind of, met with the staff, just kind of going through our roster and things like that. And so got kind of staff's opinion of things.
Okay. Did you say infield and bullpen? See you guys.
No,
okay.
You never know what's out. We'll see.
All right. Well, this is the trivia presented by Beatbox. Beatbox, perfect pairing for a Yanks game. Do yourself a favor. Hit the link in the description. Find Beatbox near you. Ben Rice became the second Yankee ever with a 3-homer game out of the leadoff spot. Who is the other? And you managed the game.
Hicks.
Yeah, that was quick. How were you able to drag that one out of the brain so quick?
Because I remember him having a 3-homer game, and I always tell, anytime someone hits 3 homers, I always tell them, welcome to the club.
Ooh. That was also against the Red Sox.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, David Price was pitching.
Hicks have a 3-homer game. He's got 2 of them, I think.
I think he does
have
as
one
well.
Inside the park home run against Detroit, maybe?
Did he? Was that a 3-homer game?
I think so.
Maybe a big series. I do remember that as well. Yeah, wow. Crushed that trivia. All right. Thanks, Booney. Appreciate the time.
All right, man. Take care.
See ya. All right, that was Bantering with Boone. Discussed some things. Going to wrap my head around what we discussed before I tell you, after I tell you about Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, and it's hot. It's really hot outside, especially for baseball games. It's time to explore those U.S. cities that you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yeah, we're talking about your rival cities. Jake and I, we're heading to Boston at the end of July, and we're very excited for that. We're going to hopefully sit on the Green Monster again, taking a game. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. Dog days of summer are here. Baseball is the only thing you got. Take a trip, beat the heat, see a game. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today at Booking.com, an official accommodations partner of Major League Baseball on the site or in the Booking.com app. So there's people that are never happy with the way we do these. I guess I don't care about that anymore. I feel good about that conversation. I tried to like let him know, hey, this message hasn't worked the last 2 years, so are we going to change it? I could have went a little harder there. Like, you can't just stay the course. You have to make changes. But he didn't get pissy. Last year he got pissy a couple times, and then we got pissy. He just seemed to understand.
Yeah, almost got there a little bit with Glaber, but
the pop-up.
Yeah,
exactly. One pop-up in 7 years. Yeah, but I mean, it's one.
But it's about the everything.
Yeah, he's saying
like, okay,
yeah. Even the lackadaisical stuff, he's like, I understand the perception of that. And it's like, well, yeah, that's how we perceive it. We have no idea what's going behind the scenes, but we know that at the end of games, they're just not seemingly have their head in the game. It's a terrible look.
It's felt like almost every game for however long there's been like some play we look back on and are like, and what was that?
Yeah, and last year, you know, it was all personnel. The team, like he even admitted it there. He said, we weren't good last year. Yeah, they just weren't, and it wasn't on him. And we kind of learned in these combos with him that he's not making the roster or the players. He can just do what he can. But we both agree there's enough on this roster to win. So then that is on managing, coaching, getting the best out of, making sure people are hustling. Like,
no,
DJ wasn't hustling.
Perfect,
I wasn't going to let that slide. I can give you the overlay to put in this episode if you want, just over my face or something. But I overlaid DJ running on Friday, and then the very next day, him running, and it's wildly different speeds. Now, he says his swing took him out of his stride. I guess so, but like, it's just bad optics. It's bad. The Volpe plays bad optics, which he knows. Glaber gets benched. The other guys don't, but like, you also want him to play. So it's just defeating a little bit. The Luis Heel correction, that's nice. That's a correction that was made. Like that's what we're begging for. Like, don't just say, no, we're good. Just do you. That seems to be the status quo the last couple of years when they go through slumps. Don't worry, just do you. No, we need to make corrections. Volpe needs to stop swinging at every pitch in the zone.
Do you want to watch that overlay again?
Yeah, if you have it.
I have it.
Because when he was telling me, when he first said he hustled, it's like, well, there's two DJs here, and there's one that's out of the box quicker, down the line quicker. If you pause it at first base, it's because the dirt is what, 7 feet, 10 feet of dirt.
Whatever
I'm
it is.
I'm 5'8". Doctor just measured me. I said, I've been 5'7" my whole life. He said, I got 5'8". I said, I didn't grow, but thanks. It's taller than me, so it's a big difference. So he can run. But
he can do better than that play for sure.
And he's big fundy, and the Grisham play and it just all looks bad. I think Boone knows it looks bad. He's protecting his guys. That's what he does. You would like more insight into what he's saying in the clubhouse.
Good. How do those conversations go when a guy?
Because we don't know. We don't know, but it seems like the vibe and the messages of the clubhouse is like, we're good. Keep playing. We're good. And that hasn't worked yet. It's no, hey, we're playing like dog shit. Let's make some changes.
You guys are good enough to play better.
If that's happening, we're just not really aware of it. Besides, moving Volpe out of the spot, moving Ben Rice up, Luis Heel making a correction, which is nice. He said he'd try some things out to get some protection behind Judge, but he thinks Verdugo's going to get back, and he has looked better of late. So
his numbers over the since start of July or whatever are fine. They're good. Depending exactly how you want to chop them up.
The Devers stuff is crazy. Those stats are so crazy. So, if the numbers change in the next 2 years and Cole gets the best of them, sure. But I wouldn't really risk it in a game that matters. I would just throw curveballs in the dirt, see if he swings over any, or just give him first if it's, the first. I should have. I had 3 examples for defend regret debate. And the other one was pitching to him in the third inning or whatever it was. It was 2 outs, runner on second, first base was open, and Devers hits a single and the runner scores, and then Devers steals a base, and then the inning falls out of control. Fuck, forgot to bring that one up. Like, just walk him to first. There's 2 outs.
We aren't deathly scared of.
There's 2 outs.
Else.
Put the force on all the bases, but instead they pitch to him. Why? I know Cole's amazing. He's dog shit versus Devers.
Yeah. The
sometimes one guy gets you, and I don't think I've ever seen a guy get a guy as much as Devers gets Cole.
Yeah, the only other one that we've seen in like recent memory is G-Man versus Cole, which I think they'd point out like, and Cole eventually started getting him. I think we all agree that those are 2 different players. Like I'm okay with not trusting that.
Yeah,
this is when
but that's
it's
a smaller sample size. We're talking about 37 plate appearances since 2021, Cole versus Devers, and in those 31 or 37 plate appearances, he's got a 1.226 slugging. We're not talking about like Troy was like 5 for 10 with 5 homers. That's 10 at bats. This is 31 at bats, 37 plate appearances, 8 home runs, 6 walks. It's nuts.
Yeah. Troy, where the numbers have landed is 24 at bats, 30 plate appearances, 417, 533, 917 slug, a 1.4 OPS. But yeah, it's only 3
1.4 OPS.
Yes, and I think that came down.
Devers has a 1.8.
Yeah.
In 37 plate appearances since Sticky Stuff got removed from the situation. All right, anyway, we're going to move on to our Sharp Stats. It's brought to you by Under 5'10". They make modern basics for shorter dudes like me. Just told you my height earlier. Including jeans, chinos, joggers, button-down shirts, hoodies, tees, and more, all at great prices. Some of their newest items include super soft joggers, ultra stretchy casual pants, and long-sleeve T-shirts. I wear them, and they fit. And it almost shocks me when I'm like, oh, what? This fits? I don't need to roll the pants up or anything. This is cool. Even in like the inseams, they're like, whoa, doesn't look like I got a diaper on. This is awesome.
It just looks better because it's actually sized for you.
So they got a special promo for our viewers. They provided a $10 off coupon for you to give them a try. Hit the link in the description to see our favorites, and the offer will pop right up for you. Head to shop.under510.com/ whoa. Click the link in the description. I'm going to read that URL. What am I, a crazy guy? All right, Sharp Stats.
Hey, guys, it's the Queen of Stats. And, well, I'm sorry, but this is going to be another sad Sharp Stats. So, about a month ago, when the Yankees were cruising as the unstoppable best team in baseball Yankees, yeah, you remember that, I did a segment on black holes. And at the time, the Yankees seemed to be in good shape with no significant negative position players. Well, you know, a lot has changed in the last month, obviously. So let's just take another look at this idea of black holes in the lineup. And I'm going to just specifically focus on offensive production, since that's clearly been the most frustrating part of this slump, as it's pretty obvious that it's the Judge and Soto show right now. But let's just put some numbers behind it. So I'm going to use OPS plus, which is adjusted OPS. And just keep in mind that these are stats for the entire season for these players. For the Yankees, they now have 5 players with at least 110 plate appearances this season and an OPS plus of 83 or worse. So that means that they're 17% worse than league average. Now, there are 8 other teams that are like the Yankees in that they have 5 such players like that, except the fact only one of those 8 has a winning record. That's the Royals, and none of them are currently in a playoff spot. So let's look at it another way. We'll look at batting order positions. So the Yankees have 3 batting order positions with an OPS plus of 83 or worse. Doesn't sound bad. There are 10 other teams like that, like the Yankees, with 3 such order positions. But, the catch here, only 2 of those have a winning record, the Mariners and the Red Sox. And what I think is compounding this problem even more is that those 3 batting order positions with an OPS plus of 83 or worse, those are the 1st, the 4th, and the 8th positions. So it spans the entire order, which magnifies the inconsistency of the lineup and makes it just really hard to put together enough offense in an inning to score runs. Talk to you guys next week.
Oh, my goodness. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
That's on the year, too. They're not just in the stretch.
Yeah,
like this
those
stretch
are-
has brought the year numbers down.
Mm-hmm.
10 teams. 3 position players with OPS plus 83 or lower. Jeez. The first, the fourth, and the 8th spots. First and fourth is honestly what's killing the team. Because now Judge and Soto can just be pitched around if you want.
If you're essentially, if top of the order's up and you're close to being spotted and out,
When
pitch
did
around those two, spotted another out.
when did Stanton get hurt?
June something. June 22nd was his last game. Atlanta.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they were losing before he got hurt.
The stretch began before that.
But I want to see if that's changed the way teams have pitched to Judge.
Because it feels like it.
Yes, it does feel like it. I'm going to attack zones, heart, and shadow. So since Stan got out, how do I do this? 56 pitches. Where's like the pitch percent? Trying to learn something new. All right, hold on. Holding. I'm going to take out that query and just look at all the pitches, I guess, which is going to be nuts. So this is up until the Judge injury. If you look at the pitch chart of how they're attacking Judge since Stanton's gotten out. No, never mind. This is something I will tweet out because I can't figure out how to show the data that quickly. So you just at JohnBoy_. Tune in. Also, Jimmy's 3 Things, if you want to see a full deep dive into the Devers versus Cole situation. That episode today, I went through the numbers. They're crazy. I did like that he was interested in the swing percentage. Like, he was like, Treby's that low? Okay. What's he at? Like, he was like, in-zone swing.
He's like near there.
It seemed like something he was actually like,
That's something that's
something
decision-based.
that he likes, that he wants to... He's like, oh, yeah, okay. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it. Appreciate you. Go Yanks. Tell them, Grams.
Go Yankees.